Have them live here? No way, Richard said, shaking his head. His wife's request wasn't exactly a revelation. The writing had been on the wall for at least a year. The intervals between tear-sodden appeals for cash had become shorter and shorter, and the sums had gotten larger and larger. At first, it was the odd $50 or $60 now and then, but recently it was a regular $300 every month. Michelle's parents promised to pay it back, but he wasn't a fool. Ted and Eleanor weren't generating the kind of income to pay back their loans. They lived in a financial minefield of their own creation, and this time they'd stepped on all the mines at once. And the shrapnel was taking out Richard and Michelle, too. It was so unfair. After 5 years of marriage, he and Michelle had just gotten themselves straight. The mortgage payments were manageable at last. The credit cards and student loans were paid off. They'd limped along for years with their old Corolla while they'd saved because they didn't want another loan on their credit report, and they'd bought the new Honda with cash. They'd achieved all this through careful money management and sacrifice. He was so proud. They'd come so far. They were just starting to live the life they'd promised themselves when they got engaged. That was what made his in-laws' screw-up so much more galling. Twice Richard's age, Ted and Eleanor approached money with a teenage mentality. Only a couple of years from retirement, they had nothing to show for their lives. Their crummy 2-bedroom apartment was rented. The car was leased. Their retirement accounts and life insurance had been cashed in years ago. Retirement wasn't an option for either of them. They would have to work until they died. Damn the American dream, Richard thought. That was the cause of Ted and Eleanor's monetary nightmares. They had to show everyone they were keeping up with the Joneses. They'd spent a lifetime trying to project the image that they were at the top of their game, except their lifestyle was built on credit. He was thankful Ted and Eleanor hadn't passed on that trait to Michelle, although there had been problems when they'd gotten married. She'd run up college loans because her parents were unable to support her. Only that January had he and Michelle cleared the last of her college debts. But the nail in her credit report's coffin was the credit card she'd underwritten for her parents when no self-respecting bank would issue them one. They'd maxed it out in months with the promise they would pay it off. Of course, they never had.
They are going to be evicted in 2 weeks. Do you want them to live on the streets?
Michelle demanded, close to tears. They're adults. It's not my problem, is it?
Richard!
He snorted, getting up from the kitchen table. It wasn't like she disagreed with him. She hated what her parents had put her through. But none of that counted when parental guilt was in full effect. He leaned against the wall and crossed his arms.
You really want them to live here? It won't be so bad. Why don't you want them here?
Because this is our home, yours and mine, and no one else's. They may be your parents, but they're still strangers to me. I would never feel comfortable with them here. I would feel like I would have to be on my best behavior. I could never be myself. He sighed. He realized that our sex life would be over. Michelle frowned.
Oh, Richard.
It would be, you know. I couldn't make love with them in the next room.
Is that all you're worried about?
No, it isn't. It's just one thing. I don't want to be paying for a home that your parents will be getting more out of than I will.
Don't you mean we? The house we're paying for? My parents getting more out of it than we will?
Richard snorted again. See, they're not even here and they're making our lives miserable.
So what do you suggest?
Tell your dad to get off his butt and get a job. Richard couldn't believe how old that comment made him sound.
He's got a job.
Oh, yeah, it's a doozy. Michelle's dad hadn't worked a straight job for years, ever since he was laid